Welcome to Tifa Letters, the summer edition by the Filipino American Woman Project. I'm your host, Jen Amos, here to read aloud letters inspired by real conversations with you. It all begins with one line. If I could say one thing. Because sometimes one thing is all we need to take up a little more space. Let's get started. Dear Ian, if I could say one thing, it's this. I would absolutely love to go on a date with you. It's a no-brainer. We first met in school, but it's basically like we grew up together. I had my group of friends, you had your group of friends, and before you know it, we were this big Filipino group of friends. All of our parents knew each other, of course, always curious to know who their kids are hanging out with. And as the years went on, it wasn't always easy to tell the difference between family or friends. We were all just family. It was always easy to spend time with you and our big group of friends. I didn't consider you like a brother or anything, but you and all the guys were close enough to that. We all basically lived in the same neighborhood, so it was normal to come over to each other's homes unannounced just to say, hey, what are you up to today? Want to play video games? Then in school, when we were given the opportunity to sign up for our classes, we would all get together just to make sure that we're all signing up for the same classes as much as possible so that we can go to class together, we can be in a study group together, and as we all started to get our driver's license, carpool together. Naturally, our group of friends would start to branch out when we started to have different interests, such as me joining sports and you and the guys wanting to just weightlift. But even if we eventually had different classes and different extracurricular activities, our group of friends would always find a way to hang out. My favorite was Fridays, when we would all go to Ben's house to play video games. Ben, as you know, your best friend and my long-term boyfriend. Being with him was easy. I mean, we were all part of the same group, and it just naturally made sense to be together as early as middle school. But you know, Ian, throughout the years, there was a steadiness about you. I trusted you. And then in the early years of being a young adult, trying to find my footing in college, you know, most of us, we decided to go to the same college so that once again, we can sign up for similar classes and have lunch together and study together. But amongst our group of friends, you just made it easy to confide in you. Now, I didn't always like your advice because your engineer mind was very solution-oriented. But I kept coming back to you because I never felt judged by you. I always appreciated the way that you listened to me, how you took everything in. And, you know, there were those days you had nothing to say. And that was okay because, you know, you eventually picked up that I didn't like your advice anyway. But when you did give advice, it was profound. You were often a man of few words, but every word stuck with me. We pursued different careers. Of course, you became that typical Filipino engineer. And yes, my parents every now and then would say, hey, if you weren't together with Ben, would you ever consider Ian? And I'd be like, Mom, Dad, how could you? And it was all playful. And every now and then you and I would playfully flirt about it just for fun because we're friends. And, you know, when you know someone long enough, you know that the flirting is not going to go anywhere. I, on the other hand, my career was all over the place, or careers, I guess you could say. And I think that's why I just enjoyed your company, Ian, because even with the craziness of my life, you were that constant. You were steady. You were consistent. You seemed to always know what you wanted in life. You always seemed steadfast and firm when it came to your sense of obligation to your family. I mean, it was astounding. Your level of respect to your parents and to your siblings, and even to my parents. I mean, you were definitely more respectful to my parents than I was. You just always carried this sense of calm and purpose. You never complained. A family man, a godly man. You were everything that any Filipino woman would want in a Filipino man, or at least what my parents would want for me. Plus, you're tall. Then the day came that I never knew would come. I had broken up with my middle school sweetheart. It's pretty insane when you think about it, having been with someone since you were barely a teenager. And of course, my family was devastated, and our friends were devastated. I didn't just break up with him, I broke up with our community, our tribe, the group of friends that we've known forever. I broke up with your best friend, but I couldn't see myself with him anymore. I love him, and I always will. He will always be my first love. I just can't see a future with him as an adult. Even though I broke up with him, I was still heartbroken. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. I just wanted to move my body. I just wanted to go through the motions. And being the consistent gym rat you are, it was easy to gravitate toward you and just tag along and work out with you and the guys and any of our other friends that wanted to tag along. But it was nice. It was nice to just move my body without having to say a word. I just didn't want to unpack over a decade of having been with someone. One day, our friends couldn't join the gym with us, and so it was just you and me. And I never felt awkward hanging out with you. Granted, we were typically in a group setting, but, whatever. We had a great workout, as we always do. By the end of it, I asked you, "So, when you working out again?" And you replied, "Well, next time, I had an idea of what we can do instead." And ever so casually, as I'm grabbing a gym towel and wiping my sweaty armpits, I say, "Yeah, what's that?" And you say, "We can go on a date." I was really getting in there, trying to dry off my armpits with this towel, when you made your proposal. And as soon as I processed what you said, I put the towel down and I asked you, without looking at you just yet, "Did you say a date?" And you ever so casually say, "Yeah, a date." Oh, uh, a date? Completely shocked. In fact, even I can hear my nervous laugh. Um, a date? I grab another towel, and instead of trying to rub the sweat off my armpits, I just place the towel in between my arms to let the towel do the absorbing because, maybe this is a little more ladylike than rubbing them. Whatever the case, I am now sweating for a different reason. And ever so calm and collected like you always are, you say, "Yeah, a date." I finally give you eye contact, and I just see the look in your eyes, and you are definitely not joking. And I am not nervously trying to laugh to cover up all the emotions that are starting to come up for me. I mean, have I thought about us being together? Of course I have. And as though you read my mind, you said, we make sense, don't we? Um, can, can I get back to you? I ask, trying to contain my nervous laughter. Yeah, sure. You say, still ever so casually. And then I say, okay, thanks. Well, good seeing you. I'll see you next time. I drop the very wet, sweaty towels into the bin and I leave immediately. I'm pacing faster than normal to get to my car, just processing everything. I mean, of course, I've thought about us. You know, when you're around friends long enough, eventually you imagine what it'd be like to be with them. And from time to time, I have thought, yeah, Ian is attractive. He has this gentle nature and soft eyes and amazing biceps. And he's smart. And my parents already love him, and his parents already love me. I get in my car and I'm just so preoccupied with my thoughts. I don't even lay a towel on my seat like I normally do after the gym. And I start driving home. I mean, yeah, it would be such an easy fit. You're right. We do make sense. And I bet with that engineering mind of yours, you probably did all the math and have concluded that us being together logically does make sense. And again, we have jokingly flirted about it before in a way that friends do. My brows start to come together as I'm leaving the parking lot. The thing is, though, how could you ask me out on a date in my most sweaty, unattractive, ugly form? I mean, I thought I was just hanging out with a bro. Now I'm thinking of all the times I've done disgusting things in front of you. I decide to take the long route home. My brows softened and a sense of fear started to run through me. I started to feel like I was crumbling inside. I mean, on the surface, it all makes sense. But it's only been less than a month since I broke up with my middle school sweetheart. And even so, on the surface, everything looks perfect. Ian, I can completely imagine a future with you. It'd be so easy. Our families would blend together so well because they already do. And even though Ben and I broke up, I know that we're still going to be good friends because we have to be. We're all connected. We're all part of this big, crazy Filipino family and friends community. It's crazy. It's insane. And he's your best friend. But you're right. I don't disagree with you at all. The shoe fits. And I don't have to question what our future would look like because even if I'm still trying to figure myself out career-wise, I know you wouldn't mind being the breadwinner. Happy wife, happy life, right? That's all that matters to you. I remember you said that it doesn't matter if your wife makes more than you or less, so long as she's happy. I know that whatever could happen with us, I know that you would default to provide and protect me, just like your unquestionable loyalty and sense of duty to your family. I know I would be an extension of that. I could already imagine the rest of our lives, our families coming to each other's houses all the time for potlucks and parties and special events and even funerals. I see it all. I see it all, Ian. I see our eventual suburban home, probably in the same neighborhood as we're in now, because it would just make it so easy for our kids to grow up here and know that they have babysitters all over the neighborhood. And we would do the same for our nieces and nephews and family friends' kids as well. We would have a very full home, people coming in and out as they please, even though I don't always like that. But that's family, and that's our friends. That's our community. I could imagine eventually getting into a daily routine with you during the work week, waking up first thing in the morning, having breakfast together, and then taking turns on who drops off the kids to school before we go to work, having a full work day, then all coming home around the dinner table. As a family, I already know that we would prepare the food together, especially with our kids, because it's important for both of us that we pass down the Filipino cuisine that our parents have impressed upon us. And I could imagine that once all the food is ready and settled on the dinner table, I could imagine all of us holding hands around the table and pray before we eat because we're always grateful. And then on the weekends, we would do some fun family activity on Saturdays. And then Sundays, we'd go to church. We'd go to the same church that our family goes to, that our family friends goes to, that our kids go to. And occasionally on Friday nights, we'd have someone watch our kids. Maybe as they get older, we'll just let them sleep over at their friends' houses, just so you and I can do a date night. See, I can picture it. I can see it all. It would be so smooth, so easy. It would be so easy to even confide in you like it always has. I know that we would do life so well together. I know that we would love reading together the way that we already love discussing personal development books, and how you'd always go out of your way to go to those bookstores to find the best deals in the dollar section. I know that our lives would be so full with family and friends and faith and fitness. I see it, Ian. I see it all. I'm almost home, but I notice that my hands are trembling. I have to pull over. I parked and my eyes dropped. My hands are trembling and I can't help but shed a tear. I turn off the car and I just sit there for a minute in silence. Ian, you're not wrong. We do make sense. I see our future. It's a good future. I see us growing old together. I see us with grandkids. And I see us in the chaos of our family and our friends and just our big Filipino community. I see it all. I can't help but wipe a tear and another. And I remember that I had my towel in my gym bag, so I pull that out and I just start wiping my eyes. Because the thing is, even though I can see the future with us, even though it's all so crystal clear, I can't. I just can't. Because even with everything you know about me, everything you've seen, everything we've done together, all the years, you really don't know me. You really don't know my insecurities and my fears and my flaws. Oh my gosh, my flaws. You really don't know, Ian, how broken I am. You really don't know the issues that I have been working through in therapy for so long. And I know that even if I say this to you, I know that you'd be willing to work through it. You really don't know how restless of a person I am, how dissatisfied I am, how I want more. And I don't know exactly what I want, but I know I want more. And I can't stand the thought of dragging you along with whatever void I have inside of me. Just knowing how kind and gentle and loyal and understanding you are. I'll take you for granted, Ian. I just know it. I just know that I won't treat you well. But I think what I'm most afraid of, Ian, is that If we actually end up together and you see all of that, you see all of me, maybe things will start to click for you. Maybe you'll start to connect the dots and think, oh, maybe that's why Mick and Ben didn't work out. You'll see my demons, my skeletons in the closet. You'll see the real me. And I'm most afraid that you're going to do your best only to find that I'm too much for you. I cannot be fixed. I cannot be saved. And I will drag you down with me. And gosh, I just already know how much you'll try. I know that you'll put in the effort, whether it's for a couple of years. I can already imagine the family support, our friend support, our church support, our couples counseling. I know that you will put in the work for us. But I also know that eventually I'll wear you down. I'll be too much for you. I'll interrupt all the good things you already have going on in your life. And I'm afraid that you'll really see me for who I am. And of all the years, of all the time that we have spent together, really getting to know me at that level will shatter your perception of me and the friendship that we have had for so long. And I know that you will fight to the very end, trying to maintain that perception you had of me, that vision, that fantasy of what we could have been. Ian, I cannot find out if you cannot handle me. My hands stopped trembling, and I decided to turn back on my car and drive home. A sense of peace comes over me, just thinking how I want you, Ian, to see me for who I am now, and whatever light you see me in, however you perceive me. I just want to freeze this moment where you not only just think the best of me, but you actually see a future with me. And maybe you'll always wonder, what could have happened if we were together? What could have happened if we have tried? What could have happened if I said yes to your date? And you know, Ian, I would rather have you wonder, have both of us wonder what could have been than to actually find out. I would rather have us both wonder than to disappoint you or for you to reject me and ruin this utopia we have with our Filipino community, our tribe. We won't be good together. We would be toxic. We would eventually get there because I'm toxic. I'm truly unlovable. And I just don't want you to see that. I don't want you to experience that. So let's not go there. Let's just continue to be friends. Let's keep what we have intact. And I know I could look at this more optimistically and think, well, what if we do work out? What if I get better? What if I can handle my demons? I pull up in my driveway and I park. But no, I'm too scared. I'm too scared for you to see who I really am. We meet up again the next day, and luckily, I was able to avoid the topic because we were amongst friends. We greeted each other the way that you do for everyone, but somehow this moment felt especially special for me with your big bear hugs, with your strong biceps and your tight chest. I just take all of it in. Good to see you, you say. And I say, good to see you too. But in my mind, I know, wow, the perfect fit. At the end of our hangout with friends, it just so happened that you and I were walking to our cars together. We happened to park in the same area, separate from everyone else. And you finally asked me, hey, So, got an answer for me? And I take a moment to pause and look at you and look at your beautiful, soft, gentle eyes and your sincerity and your beautiful, broad shoulders and your height and just everything about you. I just take it all in, and I could just already imagine our future together. But Ian, if there's one thing I can say, it's this. I appreciate the gesture, and believe me, I thought of it. I thought of us. But I'm gonna have to say no. Let's just be friends, okay? Your friend, Mick. If you could reflect on one thing, it's this. Who is that one person you could absolutely see a future with, and yet still say no? Want to respond? You can reply today at tfaletters.com. That's TFAW, as in the Filipino American Woman, letters.com. Or better yet, write your own letter. Submissions are now open. You can include your name or stay completely anonymous. So, if you could say one thing, what would it be? Subscribe for free today at tfaletters.com and follow the steps in the welcome email to submit your letter. I hope to read yours in the next season. Until the next letter, bye for now.